Look, you're exhausted. Every single notification on your phone feels like a literal threat right now, doesn't it? And honestly, you're probably dangerously close to just blocking everyone and disappearing off the grid entirely. But wait, what if this ultimate modern self-care hack is actually a massive trap? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely flip the script on what it actually means to protect your mental peace in a crazy, high-stress world.
Protect your peace. Just cut people off. We see it everywhere, right? For years now, social media algorithms have been aggressively pushing this exact piece of advice at us like it's the holy grail of self-care. And hey, let's be super clear. If someone is genuinely abusive or manipulative, severing ties is absolute survival. No question. But for literally everyone else, it is a dangerously slippery slope.
Because here's the massive blind spot we really need to confront today. What actually happens when we hit that block button just because we feel, a little overwhelmed? Psychology reveals a pretty hard truth here. Humans are fundamentally wired for connection. If your absolute only defense mechanism is a pair of scissors, cutting off every single person who stresses you out isn't going to bring you peace. It's just going to leave you completely, utterly alone.
Let's look at Section 1, the cut them off trap, and when protection actually becomes isolation.
The internet is so incredibly quick to weaponize therapy speak these days. We label every difficult person or slightly uncomfortable text thread as toxic. But guys, the psychological reality is just far messier than that. Real, meaningful relationships actually require a little bit of friction. Having occasional tension, misreading a text, or a friend making a clumsy comment, that's completely normal. Slapping a toxic label on a totally standard disagreement and just walking away, that's a massive overreaction.
Moving on to Section 2, boundaries instead of avoidance. Let's build your psychological toolkit.
So instead of building a massive fortress, you really just need better fences. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about installing speed bumps. Practically speaking, this means taking back your own agency. It's actively choosing to put your phone on Do Not Disturb at 8 p.m. instead of being a hostage to the group chat. It's knowing to steer clear of that one highly predictable political topic with your parents. Or, just limiting the personal details you share with that one gossipy coworker. You stay connected, but your mental space, that stays strictly yours.
I really want to let this sink in for a second. Looking at someone and saying, "I can't talk about this right now," does not make you a bad friend. Actually, it makes you a highly self-aware one. You literally do not need to be on call 24/7 to be a good person. You're just fiercely protecting your own energy so that, down the line, you actually have something left to give.
Which brings us to Section 3, curing your emotional overload, and how to stop carrying their weight.
Think about that absolutely exhausting pressure you feel to always listen, always fix things, and always absorb the anxiety of everybody around you. Well, psychologists actually have a term for this. It's called emotional overload. And look, it is a beautiful thing to care deeply about your friends, but it is incredibly self-destructive to act as their unpaid on-call therapist. You simply cannot manage everyone else's feelings for them. It's impossible.
And this leads us to probably the most uncomfortable question of this entire explainer. Are you, maybe, actually trying to control how other people behave? Because so much of our daily emotional exhaustion comes from this desperate, gripping need to make people understand us, or trying to force them to react exactly the way we scripted it out in our own heads.
But psychology proves a pretty brutal yet totally liberating truth here. You cannot force change on others, period. People only change when they choose to. Full stop. Protecting your peace requires the deep, and yeah, sometimes really painful acceptance that some people are just never going to meet your expectations. You can't fix them like a broken engine. You can only accept them for who they are, and then adjust your own boundaries accordingly.
Let's jump to Section 4, controlling relationship access levels, or what we call the inner circle.
I want you to imagine your life as a series of concentric circles. At the dead center, that's your inner circle. These are the very few people who have earned premium, unrestricted access to your time, your vulnerability, and your emotional depth. Just outside of that, you've got casual friends, and then way on the outer edges, acquaintances. You know what the ultimate recipe for total burnout is? Handing out VIP, all-access inner circle passes to people who really belong on the absolute outer rim. So here is the ultimate cheat code for navigating relationships. Ready? You don't have to cut them off. You just have to demote them. If a certain dynamic is completely draining you, just skip the dramatic, explosive confrontation. You don't need it. Just quietly revoke their security clearance. Give them a little less time, less trust, and less of your energy. Just gently move them from the inner sanctum out to the outer ring.
All right, Section 5, Detachment and Letting Go, the Art of Observation.
Enter your ultimate psychological shield, emotional detachment. Now, this is not about turning into some cold, unfeeling robot, not at all. It just means you absolutely refuse to act as a human sponge for everyone else's toxicity. Imagine a coworker literally storming into the room in a terrible, thunderous mood. Detachment means looking at their little dark cloud and deciding, hey, that belongs to them, not me. You can observe the storm, sure, but you absolutely refuse to let it rain on you.
Here's exactly how the most emotionally resilient people on Earth survive chaos. Step 1. Notice. You simply acknowledge the criticism or the heavy, bad energy in the room. Step 2. Choose. You actively, consciously decide not to internalize it. And Step 3. Stay calm. Because you haven't absorbed a single ounce of their baggage, you get to remain completely centered. You're leaving their drama exactly where it belongs, with them.
Finally, Section 6. True peace isn't isolation. The ultimate paradigm shift.
Because at the end of the day, this is the reality we have to face. Truly protecting your peace is not about a scorched earth policy. It's not about locking yourself away in some lonely stone fortress where no one can ever hurt you, but where no one can ever love you either. True, sustainable peace, it's about building a beautiful, flourishing garden that just happens to have very, very clear gates. It's about managing your energy, enforcing your boundaries, and fighting hard for the connections that actually matter in your life.
So as you look at your own circles of relationships tomorrow, I want to leave you with this one vital question to think about. Who is draining your energy today, and exactly what boundary are you going to set with them tomorrow? Remember, you hold the keys. You get to decide who gets access.